It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Titans are off the field for the final time in the offseason program. Mike Vrabel speaking with Titans media, confirming that today was the last day of work with voluntary OTAs. Rookies will be in the building tomorrow to get some work in. Quarterback Ryan Tannehill spoke as well, was asked about getting to meet free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins during his visit with the Titans over last weekend.
No, I hadn't been able to meet him before, so I really enjoyed meeting him and his girlfriend and spending a little time together. And like I said, it was nice meeting him, and I think he'd be a good fit here, but we'll see what happens moving forward.
Hopkins is in New England to visit with the Patriots today and tomorrow. Tonight, the SEC will release the 2024 football schedule. It'll be an 8-game format with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league in 2024. We do know that every SEC team will face either Texas or Oklahoma throughout the course of that season. The show will air at 6 p.m. on SEC Network. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Wednesday to you.
Woo! It's Wednesday Hump Day. I love it, Mickey. What is it called?
It's the nexus of the sports talk universe. Yeah. We're halfway through the halfway point of the week, talking about sports.
Yeah. Lucas always feels like, oh, my, it's only halfway through.
Oh, man, Lucas, this is like a sprint for Lucas. I mean, he's not even breathing.
I love watching because he's like, he gets a rush, about everything. I love it, though.
Flies by.
Yeah, he's super Energizer Bunny type.
He does. He gets excited. Well, like in our ear, he'll be like, the Vikings just cut a third string guard.
That's what he tells you?
What?
Oh, he doesn't say that to me. He said, breaker 19, Blaine, you need to stop that.
Guys, we got to take a commercial break. I do. So there are times, though, where Lucas will have there's some NFL news. The Patriots kicker lost his shoe.
Sounds like I'm patching in like a pirate. A pilot, not a pirate.
Hey, guys.
So detailed.
Some breaking NFL news. The Seahawks have cut their fourth-string punter.
Yeah, he loves to break it news.
You just want to play the Blaine Bishop.
No, he loves just to tell us breaking news stuff. He
teased it.
Yeah. I don't want to bamboozle people. I just like the sound.
That sound that you hear right now in the distance that sounds like a sonic boom is people leaving the Titans complex. You talk about a bunch of people who are ready to go do something else. I know the rookies have got some things they got to stick around and do because Vrabel was talking about it. Skaronski talked about it. By the way, you can see Skaronski on
they got to be right back.
Blaine and Mickey Twitter at Blaine and Mickey just dropped a little soundbite from Skaronski. But no, they like all the people who work there.
Yeah. Boy, yeah, when they start veering off, I veered off. I stood there with you interviewing Fulton. Fulton was being Fulton.
I know he got asked because Lucas and them played it. I heard it driving over here after practice. He got asked about the repeat offender thing. I think it was by Paul Kaharski. You want to play that? And then we got some more with him. But if you remember, David Long and Christian Fulton were the two guys that Vrabel named. Just repeat soft tissue. I'm holding up quotes for the people in F&M Bank Chat. Soft tissue offenders. He didn't use the word soft tissue, but he got asked by a reporter at the end of the season. He said, well, we have repeat offenders. So David Long was gone.
He went on to name names. He
named two names.
That's the part I definitely disagree.
Well, David Long, because we talked about this, you're like, hey, man, that guy's gone. His contract was up, but that's what you feel like you got to do. But Christian Fulton, you need him.
Right, yeah, you need. I mean, because players, they're listening, especially now with social media.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. If I'm a coach, I'm not doing that. Here's how players look at it, and that's the viewpoint I'm going to give. Is that even though those were facts, by the way, he did not name Molden. There's a reason why. They're very strategic. These guys are super smart. Why didn't he? He's has an injury too, right? Growing.
G to the Rizzo.
You're messing with guys' money. So first of all, now everybody's going to look into it, and you let them fall on their face on their own. If they want to make a decision to give him, $10 million a year or $2 million, that's on them. Even though it's factual, say, hey, those guys had some injuries. It's kind of happened over and over again, but hey, hopefully we can get that rectified. Move on. And which is weird to me is Vrabel was a former player. So former players who become head coaches do not do that. So stop talking about he's a player's coach. That you don't do that to a former player because he knows exactly what he's doing. Exactly. That is very strategic. You are messing with guys' money. They can go watch film and see that he missed games on their own. And by the way, Fulton is coming back. Oh, he's your starter. You better hope he doesn't miss any games.
Yeah.
Don't you want to win? Because he can impact that. As I mentioned last week, the games Fulton, I think it's only one game they won that he did not start.
You're right. There was one game.
Every game
Broncos.
They were
played,
1-5, I think, without him.
Yeah, or finished. Finished. I got to say finished because he didn't finish the Eagles game.
Mm-hmm.
They won. So we could talk about how we want to, but he's somewhat of a difference maker in the secondary. So I just think you got to be careful. When you're talking about, and first of all, most coaches don't talk about injuries or repeat offenders. It's pretty obvious. Hey, they got some issues, and hopefully they or we help them get it rectified. That was kind of interesting because naturally everybody was asking Fulton about that. And I thought he was going to say, yeah, I heard him say that. That was that was true, but he didn't have to say that. You think he was going to say that? What did he say? I don't even think he answered the question. Did Fulton even answer the question?
No. I mean, we've
he
got.
said I was just working out. Working out with the coaches. Like, why wouldn't you out there practicing or anything? What? You was working out with the coaches?
Yeah,
Well, then I wish somebody would have followed up and said this. You were working out with the coaches, so was that a punishment because you weren't practicing last week? Why weren't you out here on the field with the other players if you're not injured? There is a reason. So I wanted to get to the bottom of it. So, yeah, I would have kept asking him. Like, well, why won't you work with the team? Aren't you part of the team?
We were watching them do what I would call stretch, and I guess where they come out and they jog in circles and stretch. He came out and he did that today, Fulton did. So that's where we all saw him. Then I guess he left the field after that, but then he came back out at the end, and then he actually walked over and spoke to the scrum of media. This is the first time we've really seen much of Fulton at all.
Wow,
Even
good.
Seen him.
Right. Well, I've only got to go to these two practices that were at 10:30, so I couldn't say if we saw him or not. But most people say they didn't see him.
No.
Well, is this going to be another Hilliard situation where Hilliard say I'm not hurt, and then it comes back that he was hurt based off of the games that he didn't play?
Yeah, that was.
He said directly. He said, I don't know why I wouldn't.
We were in the big room with Vrabel. Somebody asked, "Hey, Hilliard was." Oh, I can't remember what game this was. Hilliard had a nice game. Hey, Hilliard wasn't in at the end. Was there a reason why you didn't consider him for this play or this particular series or whatever? And Vrabel said he was hurt.
Might have been the Giants game, week one.
The first game?
Was it?
I'll double check.
I don't remember if it was that early.
So you get Mike Vrabel first. He comes and speaks first always. So you get him after games in this big media room. And then you get Tannehill at some point, and usually Derrick Henry at some point, and then maybe you get one defensive player. But the players, you get Vrabel immediately. And sometimes during players, you'll get a break. Like they'll say, we'll have Tannehill in 5 minutes. So a lot of people will then run into the locker room. Uh-huh. Or maybe you get Vrabel and Tannehill like bang, bang. And they say, we're going to get Derrick, but it's going to be like 10 minutes. So everybody runs to the locker room. So Vrabel says something about Hilliard being hurt. So we all go in the locker room. Hilliard's still there. This was late. He's standing in front of his locker, like putting his pants on. So everybody lets him put his pants on. Hey, man, what happened at the end of the game? He's like, what? I have this on my phone. I'll find it. Give it to Lucas. It's on my phone.
Right. He said he wasn't hurt.
And we said, hey, man, you weren't at the end, or you get something tweaked or something. Vrabel said you're hurt. He goes, I'm not hurt. We said, well, we were just in there with Mike, and he said you couldn't go in at the end. He goes, no, I'm fine. I'm not hurt.
Now, then it proceeded. He missed 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
So how about this? We must assume that he actually was hurt, even though he said he wasn't hurt. Unless, since you went against what I said, I punish you and you missed 3 games, and we'll show you that we don't actually need you. Mm-hmm. You tell me he didn't know he was hurt? He's a grown, you know what, man. And then he proceeds to miss 3 games. And everybody says, oh, yeah, he was hurt. And guess what? This is the 3rd time, if this Fulton is right, because Julio Jones, if people must not forget, did the exact same thing.
Which
What you called it. I thought it was like, what?
Nope.
He
We
said,
told you.
I thought he was
everything that
joking.
was
He
gonna
was
happen.
serious. He's like, I'm not hurt. What are
Yeah.
you talking about, my hamstring? Yeah, I thought he was joking around. He was serious. He said, oh, the coach said I was hurt? Oh, well, I guess I'm hurt then. And then your boys told you, your inside sources said, watch Julio now show him that he's hurt.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He said, I'm going to miss 3 games. And he missed 3 games.
Had a guy who told me, let me look at your schedule. Oh, yeah, he's going to miss that one. And then he missed the next one. Then, yeah, he'll miss the next one. But then he'll come back. He called it right down to the day.
And guess what? That's why I talk about egos of big-time players. I just don't know sometimes if Vrabel wants to be a little more in control. Because Julio Jones said he was not hurt, and he was not in at the end of the game. Same type of situation as Hilliard. Same thing. Different player who doesn't have Hall of Fame behind their name eventually. So it's kind of weird that now this is I'm going to give this the 3rd time. I'm not hurt. So then somebody should have said, well, then why aren't you practicing with the team? I decided to train with your trainer's not here today. Your trainer ain't been here all week.
Yeah, he's in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he trained some of the best. You go watch his video. It didn't look like nothing wrong to me. Now, you can always come up with some form of an injury if you want to of a player. Oh, well, he tweaked his shoulder. We didn't want to risk it, so we hit him in there working with the coaches. Fulton said he wasn't hurt. So do you think these guys are just making up stuff, man? I mean, really? You don't think they know their body?
It's their business to know it.
That's like, I take off and I say I'm sick. And my boss goes, you weren't sick. What? I mean, just imagine, this is exactly what happened. See how laughable it is. That's why, but see, you guys aren't translating it over to that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. That's like, it's crazy to think, though.
And then then my boss goes, no, you weren't sick, so guess what then I did? Oh, I'm going to take off 3 more days. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they did. It baffles me. These guys don't know they're hurt. Then all of a sudden, they are hurt.
We'll get to these. I have the videos on my phone from Hilliard. I walked right up to his locker.
We're gonna have Lucas play that.
So we'll get to that.
Does it sound like Fulton?
It's been a minute since I've heard him, but I do remember standing there holding up my phone, shooting a video, and maybe it's John Glennon and me who caught him. Hey, so they said Mike said you couldn't finish the games. Everything okay? Did you tweak something? You were looking good out there. No, I'm not hurt. He was baffled. You know he
was stunned.
Like where people got no words. Like,
now hear what I'm going to say though. Why was he still there late? He was just moving slow around, and he wasn't rehabbing or anything.
No, he was just putting his clothes on in front of his locker.
Oh, he was heated. Mm-hmm. Dang, man, this dude up there messing with me, man.
Because that dude was a weapon in the offense last year. He led the team. Lucas, you could back me up
that's
on
what
this.
I said. That's what Spears
is. He led the team in touchdown catches, if I'm not mistaken.
Is Hilliard. I remember I asked
Hilliard, a backup running back who doesn't get a lot of play, led the team in touchdown reception.
Yeah. With 4.
Still, though, 4.
Well, he was leading.
Might have been 5 at the end of that game.
I think he's currently retired.
Well, he took a nasty hit at the end of last year.
Yeah, I think that was scary a little bit.
It was scary.
The spinal cord type stuff.
Yeah, he got it. It was bad looking. So
he is 28, a free agent.
Well, hopefully he bounces
but
back.
he had a spinal injury,
yeah.
And that pretty much probably will doom him. Nobody will probably touch him.
Also went to Tulane.
Now they're counting on this fella from Tulane to
Tulane running back
fill
pipeline.
Those shoes, yeah.
What was that kid's name from here that went to Tulane and ended up making it as a free agent somewhere? A running back too. Dang, man.
From here, what era?
I think he went to Ainsworth.
I knew you were going to say Ainsworth.
Yep, and I can't remember. Not Cornelder. He was I think just right after him. He's kind of a thick guy. Dang it, I can't remember. He ended up making it, and then he got injured, and then he was done.
Okay.
But he was like, whoa, dang.
Was Matt Forte also from Tulane?
Oh, I think that's who it is. Forte. No,
But no,
Forte.
he was just a good player for the Bears.
Oh, you talking about Forte?
I'm just thinking about people from Tulane.
Nah, Forte. Yeah, Forte was good.
Well, we saw him at the Super Bowl. I'm like, man, he's got a limp.
Ooh, yeah.
Remember that? I'm like, look,
I'd be limping too if I played in the NFL.
Oh, and he was still playing then, and then he wasn't still
running
playing.
back.
That limp got him.
Running back.
That limp finished him off. All right, we didn't limp through the first segment. That was a nice sprint. Joel Corry, longtime NFL agent. We got questions about Hopkins and contracts and all that. So we called our guy Joel Corry. He'll join us next. We'll talk some NFL money.
Diggs.
We'll do it next. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Will Bowling from RK Dub says Orleans Darkwa. That's the name. He and Corey Curtis
they
both
probably,
texted us.
he played BA or something, and he figured it out. I couldn't remember. Good call out there, Will. Dang. I knew it was somebody, though.
I know somebody who knows contracts, and that's Joel Corry, longtime sports agent who joins us now. Joel, always great to catch up with you, man. Thanks for answering our call again.
Oh, no problem. It's my hometown, so what do you expect?
Oh, man, hometown Nashvilleian. How have we had you on so many times that don't know that?
You from the burbs,
Come
man.
on, man.
Where you grew up?
Across the bridge in Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
Man, local guy right here in the city of Nashville.
You just
Look at
dropping
that.
all these knowledge facts, man. We didn't even know that. Dang. Well, appreciate
When you come home for the next, family reunion, come and hang out with us in the studio. We'll just we'll chop it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, family's no longer in Nashville, so it'd have to be a high school reunion.
Fair enough. Well, we'll be your family here.
Oh, okay.
What high school?
Went to a private school called University School.
Well, there you go. Shout out
definitely.
University School,
Yeah, no
Nashville. There you go.
question.
Joel Corry, a longtime agent now with CBS Sports.
Yeah, that's why he's so smart.
So let's just ask you this. You're the agent, a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, so not a scrub like me, a big star like Blaine Bishop. He goes on let's say you're Blaine's agent, and Blaine goes on a free agent visit because not me. I'm barely making the team because I cover punts, and I'll play with my leg taped on. Blaine's a big star. What are you doing while the big star makes his visit to XYZ city? What are you, the agent, doing?
Well, the first thing they did I liked was they lined up a second trip after Tennessee to put pressure on Tennessee, because if you really wanted him and the numbers were right, which obviously they weren't, there would be no second trip to New England, which is either today or tomorrow. And whatever offer you gave while he was here, he can shop that to New England. I'd try to set up another trip if I had to, if there's another team which is sufficiently interested. Given the two teams which he's taking visits, neither one of you, no offense, the Titans and the Patriots aren't the Bills or the Chiefs. Those are types of teams where you would take a discount if you're DeAndre Hopkins because you were trying to win a Super Bowl ring. To me, he could potentially get the Titans to the playoffs. The only team to worry about in the division is the Jaguars. New England needs him because they're looking like they're going to bring up the rear without more offensive help from Mac Jones, given that division and how strong it is.
So does money, while D-Hop is here, he went to Tim McGraw and he was right. We heard a little bit of the stuff that he did. We saw the public stuff. No money talk happens with the player, right? It's all with the agent. So are you on the phone with them? Do you show up for part of the visit? How does the money talk happen?
Well, this is like a traditional visit you saw in the early stages of free agency before that 48-hour pre-negotiation period was put in a few years ago. Well, the player goes and has the visit, makes sure that the coaching staff is impressed with him. In this case, there's familiarity because Mike Vrabel was a linebackers coach for 3 years in Houston, a defensive coordinator for a year. So he knows him for better or worse. Obviously, it's not worse or he wouldn't be bringing him in. And then the agent will talk to the front office people. In this case would be Vin Marino, since he seems to survive any coaching and GM change. He's been there, I think, since Mike Reinfeld left in 2000, whatever year that was. And you just have to be in town if you're the agent to handle that part.
Joel Corry hanging out with us. You need to follow him for all the latest on this kind of stuff at Corry Joel. That's where he is on Twitter.
Well, Joe, I guess to cap it off there on D-Hop, what type of contract as his agent would you be pursuing for him? What range, years, or year, or just kind of give us ballpark figures? What should D-Hop be expecting?
Well, the first thing you'd want to do is try to be made whole, which I don't think is going to happen because he was supposed to make $19.45 million.
No.
If someone was willing to pay that, they just would have traded for him. He got released because that couldn't be worked out. Now, I'm looking at what Tennessee has paid veteran wide receivers they've brought in to help over the past couple of years. Robert Woods made $10 million last year to catch 53 passes for 527 yards and 2 touchdowns in 17 games. The year before, you went out and traded for a big name receiver that didn't work out when you had A.J. Brown on the other side. In 10 games, Julio Jones, 31 catches, 434 yards, and 1 touchdown. You paid him $15.3 million for one season, actually $17.3 because he had a $2 million guarantee with no offset. So if Robert Woods is worth 10 to you guys, you weren't willing to pay him, what was supposed to say, 13.75 this year. So the number on the base should be between 10 and the Robert Woods number you weren't willing to pay this year. Then the question is, can you make him whole through incentives? And typically there's something called likely, not likely to be earned concept, where anything you did the year before as a standalone is considered likely to be earned as a cap charge initially. And last year, DeAndre Hopkins caught 64 passes for 717 yards and 3 touchdowns in 9 games. So any statistical numbers below that would have a cap charge. You can make something not likely to be earned by coupling it with a team qualifier or something else. And fortunately for DeAndre Hopkins, in terms of incentives and lowering the thresholds, Tennessee did not rank very high in a lot of team offensive categories. So there is room to work with this.
No doubt about it. We're with Joe Corry, former sports agent and salary cap expert. I guess I'm going to get into Quentin Williams there. Where do you see his contract going, and what are you comparing his contract to make sure that he gets what the market dictates he should get? Are you looking at Simmons's contract? Or are you listening? I mean, whose contract are you looking at?
Yeah, this should be an easy deal to do. To me, it should have been done already.
Oh.
The biggest hang-up to me would be the Jets insisting on more than 4 years, because Jeffrey Simmons, 4-year extension. You had Dexter Lawrence, 4-year extension. You had Ed Oliver at a lower level, 4-year extension. Deron Payne, 4-year deal as a franchise player. So length of contract should be 4. As soon as Jeffrey Simmons signed for $23.5 million per year, that, in my mind, became Quentin Williams' floor. And I'm sure Jeffrey Simmons and his agent knew that that deal was going to be used by Quentin Williams to get a better deal. So this deal should come in probably around $24 million. If everything breaks right for Quentin Williams and Robert Saleh, the head coach, said he's going to be done before the time training camp starts, it would be $25 million at max. And the guy who's rooting for him to get as much as possible is Chris Jones, who didn't attend the first day of minicamp for the Chiefs. He's in a contract year. He was the best interior defensive lineman last year. He said, I want all these young guys to really blow it out of the water, thinking I'll let them raise the bar, and then I'm going to come in and say, I'm better than all these guys. I was better than Aaron Donald last year, and get somewhere between wherever Quentin Williams ultimately ends up and Aaron Donald, who averages $31.7 million per year.
There you have it, Joe Corry. I guess one more thing for me, and this may not be contract related, so just tell me if you believe that or not. And that is Diggs. He signed an extension for like $70 million guaranteed. So I want to assume that it's not his contract, that he's kind of not going on the field or practicing or not there. It's kind of mixed signals here. What do you think this is about if you were going to make a guess?
I don't know what that's about. It's a bizarre situation.
Yeah, I'm lost.
I know he wasn't happy last year during the playoffs. I don't know if it's because he wasn't getting the ball, but he's been disgruntled all offseason. He did this in Minnesota. He was able to tweet himself out of town and got traded. They did the contract extension, so
they can't even trade him. They can't even trade him, can they?
Well, they can if they want to suffer the cap.
Right.
They've already restructured everything you could restructure out of the contract this year. Want to affect them from a cap standpoint this year, but next year they'd have over $31 million in dead money. But more importantly, they don't have anybody who can replace him. He is their number one receiver. It's not Gabe Davis. It's not Austin Knox. If they think they're going to compete with the Bengals, Bills, and whatever other team that's supposed to be in contention for the Super Bowl, he's an integral part of the equation.
Joe Corry bringing the hammer. Salary cap expert.
So Saquon is calling out essentially the league, Joel, about how it's handling running back deals. What, if anything, is going to change with this, though?
Funny you should mention running backs. That's today's CBS article, which will be out at some point today, looking at whether high-priced running backs are on the verge of extinction. He had some good news, I think, yesterday in that the offer, which was pulled off the table, which is an unusual move when there's an impasse, particularly when you're not close to any deadline, was put back on the table. Reports had that offer at $13 million per year, maxing out at 14 with incentives. But that doesn't tell me what I need to know from that offer. I don't know how much is fully guaranteed at signing. I don't know length of contract. I don't know the cash flow. If it's backloaded, then I understand why he turned that down. If it's a decently structured offer, if it's structured anything like Derrick Henry's offer on the 4-year deal he signed as a franchise player, he probably should have taken it. I don't know if that deal gets done, but there is some optimism with the offer back on the table that something gets done before the July 17th deadline for franchise players to sign long-term deals.
Joel Corry on with us. So, hey, you mentioned Derrick Henry's name. Let me ask you this. This is the last year of his contract, as we all know, with the Titans. What if he goes out this year and runs, let's say he runs for 1,500 yards again? What in the world is going to happen with him next then?
But I had a thought that maybe if you guys had made the playoffs this year, you would extend him. I mean, last year would have extended him, even though he's going to be 30 in January and has a ton of mileage on him. That's not a great proposition, although he may be an outlier for a go-forward basis. If he has 1,500 yards this year, I still think he's taking a pay cut and going someplace else. If it may depend on his future, may depend on what you guys do this year. If Will Levis is the quarterback by the end of the year, I don't see a circumstance where you bring him back at all, because you're obviously things went wrong. You're rebuilding, and let him go get whatever he can from someplace else. I would be hard-pressed to pay a 30-year-old running back for years 30, 31, 32, and possibly 33, no matter how productive he is, because I would bet on the fact that I'm getting diminishing returns and wouldn't want any parts of him.
Joel Corry, our guest at Corry Joel on Twitter, longtime sports agent. You can follow his writing at cbssports.com.
Well, let's talk about another tight end and tell me what you would do in this situation. That is Kevin Byard. They asked him to take a pay cut from a strategic point of view as an agent, and he called their bluff, and he's not going to take a pay cut. What would you be considering, whether it's to stay here or not? Because they can kind of pin him in a corner a little bit and kind of wait till the end of training camp. Granted, there'll be some other guys available at the same time. It won't be available as much as him, but there's always a risk when you go on the open market. Let's say he makes $13 million. I don't know if he could get that. So would you be propositioning something else, maybe some guarantees from the Titans to stay, or no? What would you do?
It was interesting that he called their bluff, and to me that means his agent did what any agent should do that's competent, even though it's technically tampering. Once a team proposes a pay cut, you go around and you do your due diligence. Yep. You have hypothetical conversations with teams. If so-and-so is potentially available, what would the market look like? So I suspect that at that time that there were favorable reports which gave him or empowered him to take a pay cut, as opposed not to take a pay cut, as opposed to playing ball. If he's there on the roster for the first game of the season, his contract's guaranteed through termination pay. What I would want to do between now and then is try to work with the team and tell them, if I'm going to be here, there's no point that you don't have to not guarantee my contract by the time the start of training camp, so that removes any temptation for them to come back and ask him to take a pay cut because the timing's different. And now that there's less money available, what he could have gotten potentially when the pay cut was initially offered may not be there. That takes that out of the equation. So I might be angling that way if I'm the agent.
Well, I propose this, and you tell me and shoot it down, is that, okay, I'm Kevin Byard. I may approach kind of disrespectful, but guess what? I love playing for this organization, this city, played college here, can rewrite the history books at safety with the Tennessee Titans. How about I take a pay cut from, I don't know, let's just say $13 million to $10 million, and you guarantee me 2 of the next 3 years, if not all 3 years, at that price? Would you do something like that?
No, the safety market has exploded over the past couple of years, and his agent, David Mulugheta, has represented some of those guys who are near the top of the market. I don't see that happening. Players don't look at it that way. If you guys were a Super Bowl contending team, that may have more traction. You got a guy in Arizona, Buda Baker, who's not happy contractually, and he's making a little bit more than Byard. So I don't really see Byard going, I'll take 10 and stay here, particularly if it's going to be going through a rebuilding process. If
But guaranteeing
it ends
3
up
years of
being
the
that
contract,
way,
though.
yeah, but he probably want to take his chances thinking I'm playing at a high level and I should be able to get what was on my contract or more. Whether he can is a different story if I'm released next offseason. That's how he's probably going to be looking at it.
So what I guess to follow that up is they don't view safeties just, I know it's not the same as like a Derrick Henry. And the reason why I say that is because when you're a safety and you're playing at a high level and you're still doing a really good job and you're a Pro Bowl caliber player, all of a sudden now you start going down that downward slope. It could be a slow drag, but you're starting to go, you've turned the corner, and now you're a vet and haven't missed any games. So the odds are you're going to miss some games. So I was trying to play the long game and guarantee myself money, but you're saying, no, I would never even consider that.
Oh, he's going to be looking at what the Vikings did for 32-year-old Harrison Smith
Right.
A couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They made him the second highest paid safety in the league at the time. Granted, Kansas City was not willing to do that with Tyrann Mathieu a couple of years ago, and he took a substantial pay cut from his KC deal to go to New Orleans. So there is a risk involved if you don't take what you're proposing. But I suspect that since he didn't take the pay cut this year, he thinks that he's going to do well should things go wrong in terms of him being in Tennessee next year if he plays well in 2023.
Okay, and lastly for me, let's talk about what's going to happen with, I think, Danielle Hunter for the Vikings. I think he's kind of holding out and wanting a new contract extension. Do you see things working out here, or is he going to have to end up showing up at camp?
I feel sorry for him. Because
That's the first thing you say.
Okay.
no, he never should have signed the deal he signed.
Yeah.
He signed a 5-year extension for $14.4 million per year in, I think it was 2018, right before Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald became the first $20 million per year non-quarterbacks. Then the following offseason, Frank Clark and DeMarcus Lawrence got over $20 million per year. He signed for too long of a deal, and he's been unhappy with his contract for 3 years. They shifted about $7 million of this year's salary upwards to last year to try to placate him. But he's still very productive and young enough to get another deal. Mm-hmm. If you trade for him, then you're going to have to pay him probably Bradley Chubb money or more, which is $22 million per year. Okay. And Minnesota's got to decide, was last year a mirage? Or do we think we're a real contender on a go-forward basis? Because they got to take care of Justin Jefferson. They already have shipped out a bunch of veterans that they cut. So if he's part of the equation for the future, they should do the contract extension. If not, they should just go ahead and trade him. And then what are they going to do with Cousins after this year? Because if they've been on that carousel and haven't been able to get off, but at the same time, what are their alternatives? So they're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't with him. Yeah, so that's kind of the same situation, Cousins and Tannehill. What do you think the range is going to be for Justin Jefferson before we let you go? He'll be the highest paid receiver in NFL history. The question is he going to be the highest paid non-quarterback? And there is a precedent for wide receivers being the highest paid non-quarterback. It happened with Larry Fitzgerald in 2011, 2012, Calvin Johnson. The new money average for DeAndre Hopkins made him the highest paid non-quarterback. And the artificially inflated deal for Tyreek Hill on paper made him the first $30 million per year non-quarterback, although in actuality it averages $25 million per year because there's $45 million in the last year that he's never going to see. Gotcha.
Joel, fantastic stuff, man. Great as always. At Corry Joel on Twitter. And again, CBS Sports got a big article coming up that you just referenced earlier, and we'll be looking forward to reading that about NFL running back contracts. Thank you, sir. Nashville's own. That's how we'll introduce you from now on, Joel Corry.
All right, sounds good.
Bang.
Yes, sir. The one and only Joel Corry. Ooh, that's a lot of good stuff. If you just joining us, you will want to go back later and catch that on the podcast. When we come back, Christian Fulton was available. We saw him. We talked to him. Christian Fulton. You will hear from him next, including the question, are you hurt? Why Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. So Christian Fulton was out today a little bit on the field, but spoke to reporters after practice. The question I quoted when we were going was, he was asked, was he hurt? But I went back and listened. The question was specifically from Corry Curtis of News 2. He said, what kept you off the field? So listen to that question and answer. But here's there was a bulldozer behind us, but here's what we were able to get from Christian Fulton today immediately after practice.
Good. I've just been excited, about the work that I've been putting in, since February. And, I'm excited to be back around the team, been around them the last 2 weeks or so. And, everything's been good. The vibe's been great.
What kept you off the field?
Just, standing inside, just wanted to get some extra work in the weight room. And that's what the coaches allowed me to do.
Along with that, what are some things you've been able to do to kind of help prepare yourself for camp, even though you maybe hadn't been out here as much as you would have liked?
Obviously with me not being on the field, I just having to, take the approach of doing everything I could off the field, whether that's film room, eating better, studying, my body movements, just talking with my trainer, all us being on the same page, with me going forward into the season.
Christian, why was it important to kind of maybe do your thing with your trainer down in Miami this offseason, and what did you kind of specifically try to work on?
Yeah, it was big, just to try new things. I feel like it's, everybody has their own way of doing things, and everything doesn't work for everybody. I've been here, the last 2-3 off seasons, and I've had, great time on the field, being here. So I just wanted to try a different approach, and see what it gets me, moving forward.
Do you feel like it got you to where you want to be right now, at least?
Yeah, definitely. I feel great.
Titans number one cornerback, Christian Fulton. He's
for now.
Okay, what kept you off the field? Then he started talking. He said, I've been inside working. That's what the coaches allowed me to do, is what he said. He said that. I had to listen because it's hard. I know there's background noise. It's the best we can do when there's literally a bulldozer and 6 people getting interviewed like within 8 feet of each other. But I wrote it down. That's what the coaches allowed me to do.
So the follow-up then, now that we get to hear it 2 or 3 times.
And I couldn't hear it when he said it.
In person is, so they wouldn't allow you to practice?
Why might that happen? As somebody who played 10 years. Did I ever say, Blaine, you can't practice today?
Oh, I have no idea.
You can stay inside, Blaine, you can't practice.
To me, when I hear that's like a college mindset.
Okay.
From a coaching staff. Yeah. So I'm going to just say variable. Yeah. That never happens in the National Football League. That's why I said, is this a punishment? I have no idea. He could do what he wanted to do. And see, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he should have been here. He's done it the last 2 years. He even said it in the interview.
Yeah, I had a good time on the field here, but he said I've done this 3 years now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So see, I told you I got desperate times, desperate measures. He went to the best in the world in his mind, and to make sure he can get ready and get paid. Because if he stay healthy, he will get paid. And
somewhere for sure.
Big number. We talking about $20 million. Yeah, he if he stays healthy and doesn't miss, but 1, 2 games. Oh man, yeah,
premium position.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good player.
Yeah, he's a real good player. On a real good elite secondary or corners, he would be a 1B. But
yep, 1B is worth a lot of money too.
Yeah, 1B is a lot of money, bro. I'd take it down to about 15.
Like on this team, he's unquestioned number 1, right? But like put him with the Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, no. Whoa. Let's pump the brakes on that. Let's pump the brakes on that. Yeah, but he's pretty good. So he said he did what he was allowed to do. He said it. I love how he was systematic, man. I don't know if I could have been able to been that good at that age. I'd be like, they wouldn't let me practice.
That's what the coaches allowed me to do.
That's what he did. He really said that, but in a passive way.
Is it? Hey, man. Let me try to think. I'm the coaches. I'm sitting around the coaches table.
You be coach. You be Vrabel.
We've had trouble.
I'm folding.
Well, how many times? How many games has he missed? I know I've written it down.
19 of the past. I want to say 4 seasons. Has he played 4 seasons? Yeah.
He's played
3 seasons.
Yeah,
I think he missed 19 games, something like that.
So
maybe I'm getting mixed up with somebody else. So let's check back.
All right. Well, you're looking at that Pro Football Reference. You can grab it easy there. I'm the coaches. I'm around the big coaches table. Hey, man, we've had a lot of trouble keeping this guy on the field.
Uh-huh.
let's do our best to kind of rein him in. Let's don't put him out on the field a lot this spring.
Could be.
Let's just don't do it. He's going to be in here getting mental reps. We're good. He's here. Like Teron Davenport reported last week, hey, he's here. So we all ran out the field the first day. He wasn't on the field, but TD said, I know he's here. Then he was spotted on a bike or doing other stuff. I don't want to say more than we can say, but he was spotted by people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's don't risk any soft issue here. Let's don't risk anything. We know he can play when he's healthy. He's been off doing his thing. Let's don't risk him. Let's just keep him inside.
Where's the player at on that?
That's our plan.
Well, where's the player? Where's the player now? I want to be out there. I need to get some technique work. I've been working hard this offseason with my trainer, my personal trainer that I hired and paid out of my own pocket. We got trainers here. No.
Hey, 3 years I tried that route.
That didn't work.
Yeah.
So, see, but, you can't say that because they're going to know you should have been here. No, it didn't work for me. So I got to try something else. So maybe it could be that. I'm hoping it is.
I mean,
but why didn't he just say that? Why couldn't he just say, hey, since I've had some injury issues, coach is trying to say, hey, let's just take it easy and you don't have to prove nothing to us right now. Why can't he just say that? Or however you want to present it and say that then. He said the coaches are not allowing me to practice, pretty much.
That's what the coaches allowed me to do.
So maybe he's saying it like that because he disagreed with what they wanted him to do as far as he wanted to practice, but they wouldn't let him practice. Mm-hmm. It could be that. Somewhat what you're saying, too, a little bit. Like, he wanted to practice, and they said, hey, well, let's just do this. And maybe didn't give him the reason why, but it could be your reason that, hey, we're trying to hold you back so you don't have no soft tissue injuries. I'm going to tell you this right now. NFL says, we don't give a crap about you and about no soft tissue, no shoulder, no back, no knee. You healthy, you practice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. Preserve. Now, this is a different time, different era, but guess what? We have never heard this before. Your analogy of what you may think it could be. It could be.
Yeah.
But we've never seen him do that before. Never seen him do that. Maybe he's learned. But then if you learned, then why'd you call him out? See, it's not matching up.
Mm-hmm.
Or did you learn after the fact? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. And, hey, man, what can we do to keep him on the field? Because he's actually costing us games. My overall record is looking bad.
Right. We were 1-5 without him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need that dude healthy.
And he finished Philly. That's 1-6, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe he's saying it like that because he wants to practice and they said no can do. Hey, that could be it. But to me, I want you to just say that. It's just no different than when Burke said asthma. Why can't you just say you got asthma?
it took Rob Moore going, well, the kid's got asthma. And people were like, what? Everybody starts writing stuff down.
Like, why can't you just say, hey, man, since I've had some injury issues, hey, we want to take it easy right now.
Yeah.
That's it. It's over.
No one will ever even bring it up. Oh, okay.
And nobody will speculate like I'm doing.
Right. Me too.
It's something funny. Something funny going on.
All right. No speculation and no funny business in hour number 2. That's coming up. Jordan Dajani, he was at practice today. We saw our man JD. We can ask him about it. Ryan Tannehill was there all the way down to the very end. We'll talk more of the Titans' final OTA when we come back. Also, this is Dad's Father's Day, Dad's Week.
It is?
Lucas's own personal stash, Nashville SC tickets from Lucas's vault. We're giving those away, but you got to come back next.
Where's my chocolate candy?
It is 2:03. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. Voluntary OTAs wrapped up today at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park for the Tennessee Titans. After getting off the practice field, the offseason program is officially over. Next up, be training camp coming up in less than 2 months. Rookies will be in the building tomorrow getting work in, according to head coach Mike Vrabel, who also spoke a little bit on the visit that the Titans had hosting free agent wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, we'll continue to kind of look through where we're at as we add free agents and everything else. We follow up, and, I don't think there's anything that's going to happen here today, I would imagine, but there's follow-up every time we come and have conversations, and we'll see where it goes.
Hopkins is currently in New England. He will visit with the Patriots tomorrow as well. Tonight, the SEC will release the 2024 football schedule. It'll be an 8-game format with Texas and Oklahoma coming into the league in 2024. We do know for certain that every SEC team will play either Texas or Oklahoma in 24. The show will air at 6 p.m. tonight on SEC Network. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So welcome to the Nexus of the Sports. This is the true Nexus in the Sports Talk universe. We're halfway through the week show. Jordan Dajani is going to join us in less than 20 minutes. So if you 20 minutes is too much, you don't worry because it'll be less than 20 minutes. He was at Titans practice today. We were at Titans practice today.
Oh, yeah, so excited. It's the last day?
Christian Fulton was it? Yeah, today's the last day. Christian Fulton was there. We talked to him. We saw him.
Yeah, we saw him. But he was not practicing.
Working inside.
But the guys who practicing looked pretty good. Everybody, it was going hard. Except, the quarterback, Levis. Levis looked like he got Levised. And that means like not so good.
He had 3 interceptions.
Boo!
In the final period that we got. We got to see everything today.
Oh, man.
On, I think, consecutive plays.
Dang.
Got picked by Molden on a throw in the flat.
That was the one that was bad. Great play by Molden, though. That was kind of in between two players, so it was like, okay, which guy were you actually throwing? The other ones were, kind of jump ball type. They didn't make a play for him. Yeah.
The next throw, he got picked by Alonzo Davis, and yes, you were saying who? He's one of 2 number 38s on the team.
Oh.
Good, nice play by him.
It was. But Molden's was spectacular because he kind of tipped it and barely got his fingers on him, falling down and then got up and ran. And now he got caught, though, even though it was upside down. But it was still a great play. It was a phenomenal play. Got to give him that one.
And then the next one was tipped by Jaden Peavy and caught by Rashad Weaver.
That was one. I was like, ooh, y'all better get out of his way.
Like big dudes tipping it and bigger dudes, taller dudes catching it.
Oh, man.
Right there, just
Yeah. Levis acted like he was gonna make time. I said, "Don't do that. You do the pick. That's okay. This ain't no game. It's practice. Don't go try to tackle.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, just move out the way.
Yeah, quarterback's got to learn.
Yeah. So that was a tip ball. So So he's got to live with that that's gonna be a minute, boy. But that'll keep him grinding though. I kind of like it though. But he throws a magnificent deep ball. Ooh. That thing looked beautiful. Wow. Wow. I mean, he flicks the wrist and that thing comes out of that thing. Yeah. It's a special little thrill there. I'm going to just say that now. You got to make sure he's hitting the right targets. But, I mean, that was just today. So he had been playing solid up to that. So sometimes, and it's what people, and I'm going to try to put it from a fan's perspective. You get all panicky because he threw 3 picks. Guess what? Those picks don't count. They don't count in an actual game. It does count if you're keeping count, and it does count because he didn't have a good day. But guess what? The only way you're going to progress as a player is through failing. You must make those mistakes to then bring you back, even stronger and, sharper, whatever it may be at each position, and see if you can grow from that, because that's giving you a template of what he would be in an actual game. What if that actually happened in a game? Did he throw a pick or 2? How did he respond from that? So when you're a young player, you're afforded to make those mistakes, especially a quarterback, and see if you could kind of temperature that and continually grow from those. So see, like if it was me, I'd be going to Tannehill. What did you see? What did I do wrong? Especially I'd be like, hey man, we're going to watch this film right after practice. I know everybody's trying to get out of here, but I want you to tell me what it is. Or he could tell him right afterwards when he finished because he's standing out there. So you want to learn from vets. They know things, little nuances of the game. Now, when a guy makes a great play like Molden, that was great. But he was in between on the throw. Why was it in between? Nobody's tackling. I don't care if you felt the heat or not. They can't touch you. So you get used to it. So those are the things I think fans must, understand at every position, especially young drafted players. And all eyeballs are always going to be on the quarterback. Malik Willis looked actually pretty decent. A little accuracy issues, a little just like Levis, but he just didn't throw any picks. Tannehill looked great. So for all those who are big Tannehill guys, especially when they play the Bengals. So man, the team looked, I think, and I'm going to say this, and everybody knows that I'm not a homer. I'm going to call it as I see it. I think they're going to be better than people expect. And I'm saying that from an offensive perspective. Mm-hmm. I just think they look like a pro offense. It doesn't look like it's a 90s offense, run left, run right. So, yeah, we'll see what that turns into when we start calling plays in real games. But as I said before, I like what I saw out of Kelly's offense when I watched I watched 5 games of when he was the coordinator with the Texans, when we elevated him. And I like what I saw then. And I'm continuing to see that. So hopefully it becomes an issue where the King, Tannehill play great, and then you have to make a tough decision after the season's over if you're going to give them extensions or you're going to let them walk and just move forward with the younger players. Yeah, that's kind of where you want to be because that means you're winning. So I think they are a team that's got a great shot at winning the AFC South. I think Jaguars are favored, but they have a first-place schedule. I think the Titans are going to win that. I think they're going to win the AFC South and get into the playoffs, and then I think they'll be dangerous. Hopefully then they'll be into a rhythm of the whole offense, and now it's just clicking. Mm-hmm. And we ain't even talk about the King. See that? Mm-hmm. So it looked pretty decent, and I'm a tough critique, especially the offense, because everybody's always sure about the offense.
Right. Well, you know that, man. Defense can have a great day. And people be like, well, the offense didn't look good today. Well, it's because the defense did.
Well, yeah. But, and I always watch the offense. You always watch the defense.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Well, in my dreams, I always wanted to be an offensive player. Since I was an offensive player all the way through not through college, but
college.
I even played
first part of college for sure.
I was still running back. Yeah. So
they got to Ball State, and those dummies, they didn't have any vision.
No, I'm glad
moved
they
you from
me.
offense.
Oh yeah, I would have never made the NFL.
And for people like Ball State, there were 2 NFL running backs on the team when you got there. For people who wonder what that was about.
Well, yeah, Bernie Pomley, and then he didn't get drafted, but he ended up starting for the Dolphins for a handful of years, and then Corey Kroom, who ended up injured, but he got drafted I think 3rd round by the New England Patriots. He got injured his rookie year, and it kind of fell off after that. But, yeah, those guys, they was like, are you want to be 3rd-string running back, or do you want to compete to start on corner? I said, who I'm competing with? Ain't nobody competing with over there. I'm starting. That's what I said. He looked at me. Yeah, he looked at me like, don't worry about that. Yeah, Coach Minner, Rick Minner. Yeah, his son now is at Michigan, is at D.C. there. He was at Vandy a couple years ago.
Well, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the Titans, but you brought it up, so I'll say this. I'm always amazed by guys who go to college as one thing, and a coach says, there's a guy named Elbert Shelley. He played in the NFL for 11 years. He's from Truman, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And he went to practice at Arkansas State, and the late, great Larry Lacewell, who was the Cowboy scout that built their 3 Super Bowl teams with Aikman. Lacewell was the coach, and Tennessee fans know him. He was the DC for Tennessee. For a while and won at least one SEC championship there. And he looked at Elbert, and Elbert had been everything running back. And he goes, Elbert, I like you as a running back, but I got a room full of those guys. But I'll tell you what, I think if you switch to safety, I can put you in the NFL. Well, he did, and he did, 11 years. How somebody can look at somebody who's great at one thing.
Right.
And say.
Well, they were until they weren't.
Right. And sometimes maybe it's like you. I got a room full of people. I don't have anywhere.
Right,
You can be
sometimes
sixth
forced.
string, or you can go start over here, a battle for a starting job. But there's all these stories of guys who got moved in college to a completely different position, sometime other side of the ball, and away they go.
Well, sometimes in need, sometimes it's things that's where your skill set is best fit.
Yeah.
So that's why I really encourage it. It's kind of changed, but I still encourage it. Everybody should play both sides of the ball, even if it's on a temporary, time frame. You want to do that. If you wide receiver, you want to play defensive back, or whether it's corner or safety. If you're a running back, you want to kind of play linebacker or safety. So those kind of mirrored positions. Tight ends, linebackers, O-line, D-line, because you never know when you may get that opportunity if you're in college and you want to play as sooner than later. So you should always exploit that. I always don't just sit there and I'm an offensive guy. And lucky for me, I played both sides of the ball in high school. So it was kind of easy for me because I was very comfortable playing defensive cornerback at the time. So I even got moved to safety halfway through the season my senior year. I forgot all about that. Got towards ACL. And we had another good corner who wasn't getting to play, who was a junior. And he said, well, we need to put our best players. And they said, well, Blaine, you want to move? I said, no, I don't want to move. but you're aggressive. You could do it. I think you just told me I have to do it.
This is your way of saying
halfway through the season.
Safety.
Yeah, you go be you're the safety. Oh, okay, cool, man. Hey, let's just do whatever we got to do. Can we Wednesday? You think? Yeah. All right, cool.
Was this in high top Avias?
Oh,
did you save those?
No. Watch this. This is my white cleats that I polished black. We wore black cleats.
You polished your white cleats black.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yep, to get them black. Black high tops, by the way.
Oh,
black high tops.
You look like Kenny King out there.
Yeah, I look hard. Yeah, I thought I looked hard anyway.
Johnny Unitas out there in your black high top.
Polishing, yeah, boy. About halfway through the season, I had to repolish them.
All right. We're going to polish the second segment up nice with Jordan Dajani. It'll be ready for you in just a couple of minutes. But first, Lucas wants to give away his own personal stash of tickets. So if you're looking for a gift for Dad this Father's Day, here you go. Caller 5 now. 615-737-1045. They never put the phone number on these. To win 4 tickets to take Dad to see Nashville SC host St. Louis SC next Saturday, June 17th. That's coming up at Geodis Park for Father's Day. It's Dad Week presented by Chattanooga Whiskey on 104.5 The Zone. This year, give Dad the best Chattanooga Whiskey, awarded Best Craft Producer 2023 by Whiskey Magazine. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com/Dad's Week. Caller 5 gets Lucas's soccer ticket, 615-737-1045. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Titans' final day of on-field work for OTAs of 2023. The next time you see Titans on the field, it will be because it's fall camp. And Jordan Dajani, maybe he'll be there that day, but he was there today. Blaine and I got to catch up with JD. JD, great seeing you in person as always, man. Great running into you today at practice.
Man, I didn't know if you were shooting your own commercial today, man.
My friends, what's going on? What a great day, man. I got a great tan. I'm all sweaty. I smell fantastic. Got to meet Ray Carthon, our guy Jonathan Jones from CBS Sports. Getting to watch the offense in action. It was my first time out there this offseason, so a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah. So what did you like about what you saw today? Anything stand out, or what you heard from guys after practice? Maybe anything stand out?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that stood out. I think the headline for me, honestly, was, there was a lot of guys that weren't there today. Christian Fulton was there today, which I'm sure was a big headline. But how about some of these undrafted wide receivers and guys who are lower on the depth chart making plays? I mean, Trayshawn Harrison from Oregon State had a great touchdown catch off a tipped pass. Chris Moore, the veteran, had a wild catch from Will Levis downfield, a diving reception out the tip. That was exciting. It was really good to see the team get after it. And, again, it was my first chance in person to see what this potentially new look offense could look like. We definitely saw some tempo. So it was good to see some plays being made in the passing game, but there was a couple interceptions there as well.
There's a disconnect, it seems like, nationally. Every article is they're in the bottom of power rankings talking about the Titans, or they've got the worst roster, or they try to rebuild, but they didn't rebuild and they've botched it. There seems to be a huge disconnect with what people think locally this team could be. And I'm not talking about crazy expectations, but like contend or win the South versus the national expectations of, they're in a rebuild and they don't even know it. They're going to be terrible. How did we get that far apart on this team?
Yeah, it's a good question. I feel like this narrative has been kind of budding for a while, though. I mean, you look at the Titans and how they're run and how they run their own offense. It's very different compared to the NFL. They're not exactly stretching out the field and making plays in the passing game. They probably on paper have one of the worst wide receiving corps in the NFL, but at the same time, this team has remained competitive with Mike Vrabel at the helm, and they operate differently. And I feel like that's a big reason why people think that they're going to have a down year. And I mean, as you mentioned, it seems like the national narrative is probably worse than it's ever been. It's certainly something I'm trying to fight against myself, because this team has always been in contention, and they reside in what is really a weak division in the NFL. But, man, you look at some of the things they did this offseason in terms of some of the free agents they brought aboard on the defensive side of the ball. We talked about the promotion of Tim Kelly on offense. This offense is supposed to be different. Maybe it's going to be a lot better in terms of getting the ball to their playmakers and developing some of that young talent. So, I can't come out and say, the Titans are 100% not going to be terrible. I can't say that, but there's a lot of positives with this team as well, and they're going to be very much in contention to win the division in 2023.
Jordan Dajani, our guest, CBS Sports, as always, joining us on Wednesday here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Jordan, we're going to talk about it till it ends, and that is D-Hop. I mean, where do you think the Titans are going to go here eventually? And I think he's just visiting teams just to see where he's at and see if he can get the price up. But do you think the Titans are going to sign him potentially to what range of contract?
Well, let me say this first of all. Mike Vrabel has to be one of my favorite head coaches in the NFL because, I mean, it's so funny. His comments on Hopkins when he was released from the Cardinals initially made it seem like the Titans wouldn't even inquire about his services. But, of course, when the report came out that they would, Vrabel said that Hopkins would take the same old visit any free agent would with Tennessee. Instead, Hopkins is pulling up pictures of him in a luxury vehicle with a TV screen featuring a nice Photoshop of him in a Titans uniform. He's got champagne glasses. Then he scoots on over to Nissan Stadium to enjoy CMA Fest in a luxury suite. Yeah, that's definitely the same free agent visit everyone who visits the Titans is going to get. No, but, I mean, by all reports, it sounds like it was a good visit. I know that you guys talked to someone on the phone yesterday that met with him during that visit and got to talk to him a little bit about what he's looking for. But you know what? I think that the Titans are somewhat of a legitimate contender for his services when it comes to his familiarity with Vrabel, his familiarity with Tim Kelly, coming back to the AFC South, a team that is in play to win the division, like I said. But, of course, it's all going to matter about money. And the Titans do have some cap space in 2024, 2025. Right now they're sitting under $8 million, which is, bottom 10 in the NFL. So maybe you have to get just a little bit creative with how you structure that contract. If I had to predict what the contract would be, I'm looking at somewhere around a base salary, somewhere around $10 million with incentives, heavily laden incentive deal, in my opinion. It's going to be multi-year if Tennessee does sign him, but he's visiting the Patriots right now, and the Patriots have almost $15 million in available money, which could be a plus when it comes to what Hopkins is looking for. So I think Tennessee's still in the running. It didn't surprise me that he left the building without a deal. I don't think that should have surprised anyone. I would imagine that he's not yet done taking visits either. So this is going to continue to be a situation we keep an eye on.
Well, there's a lot of pressure there to see if they can get it done, especially when you're going against the Patriots. But hopefully, they'll get it done. We shall see. Well, a team that I think is starting to feel the pressure there, JD, and need to get it done is the Cincinnati Bengals. And here's why. Everyone will be a free agent, get a new contract. You can't sign everyone. T. Higgins, Burrow, and then eventually Chase. So what do you think is going to happen with this trio of players? You think they'll stay all together? Burrow takes less, a la Mahomes? Or is this the last hurrah for this three?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting case study because, like you said, when you have this amount of players, this young talent that you have to re-sign to lucrative extensions, in more cases than not, you're going to be unable to keep that core together. I feel like Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are two guys. I mean, these are former college teammates that you want to keep together. And where it's going to get really creative is how they structure this big-time extension that Joe Burrow one day is going to sign. And Patrick Mahomes is probably, he's somewhere in the top 8 of highest paid quarterbacks. His contract was structured in a very intriguing way where it's like 10 years. They have these big time roster bonuses where on like the third day of the league year, he gets a huge paycheck. Is that going to be something the Bengals try to do? Or is it going to be more like what the Ravens and the Eagles did when it comes to guaranteed money, right? So it really comes down to the Bengals figuring out what they want their salary cap table to look like moving forward, what Joe Burrow is trying to look for in his new contract. Those are tough puzzle pieces that you have to figure out. But I will say that the Bengals, they have been preparing for this situation for at least a couple of years now, right? They know that they have their franchise quarterback. They know that they have a franchise wide receiver, that's for sure. So it's about trying to figure this out. Now, T. Higgins, if there's going to be a guy on the outs, I would imagine it's him. And we saw some speculation on his future earlier this offseason. I think it was The Athletic talking about how he potentially could be a trade target. Cincinnati's not shopping him, I don't think so. But if I had to pick one of those guys between those three stars, it would probably be T. Higgins.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I remember their offensive lineman was upset. Jonah, I think his name Jonah Williams, I think, or something like that. Is he still on the team or is he holding out? Where is he sitting? I think they moved him from like left tackle to maybe right tackle or guard.
Yeah, I think he's moving over to the right side. And it looked like he was on the outs. And this was a situation I was keeping track of because it was earlier in the offseason, and I was wondering if the Titans could potentially be a landing spot for him. But it seems like he's going to play on the right side. I think he's trying to adjust to that new position. I think he recanted his trade request as well. So, if we're making a list of players who might be on the outs, I think you have to take him off it. I think that the Bengals do value what he brings to the offensive line, but they found a much better left tackle, one of the best in the game in Orlando Brown Jr. So they want to keep Jonah Williams. They're going to put him on the right side. They're going to see how that goes.
And lastly, I'm hoping somebody can give me some insight on Stephon Diggs. What's going on here? Mixed messages from McDermott, the head coach. Coach at Philly when I was there. Assistant linebacker coach there with Rivera. But I'm confused. Then Allen, goes all in. That's his brother and everything else. So is this more of a personal deal? Because he's making a big gob of money, so it can't be money, right? $24 million a year. I think they gave me $70 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Blade, this is one of the more weird situations I have in recent memory. Yesterday was just a cluster, if you will. We had the coach saying he was very concerned that his player wasn't there, but his agent said the player was in attendance, and we're like, no, he's not. And then Josh Allen has a press conference where he says the issues are not related to football. But then all of his other comments make it seem like, yes, they're very related to football. And as you mentioned, it can't be the contract because he just signed a contract last year. And to trade him would be the Bills would have to take on a significant cap hit in the future. So a very puzzling situation. And I will say this, Sean McDermott came out, I think just within the hour, and said that there was a point yesterday where we all just felt like we needed a break and some space. So McDermott gave Stephon Diggs permission to leave practice. But then again, why would the coach come out yesterday and say that he was very worried his wide receiver wasn't there, right? And listen, I didn't want to put this out there initially, but now I feel like I can. I'm not reporting anything, of course, but I was wondering, was there some kind of argument or something behind the scenes before that first practice on Tuesday? And now it kind of seems like maybe there was some kind of disagreement. That's at least what my read on the situation. That's what I'm gleaning from the head coach's comments. But the bottom line is that he was in attendance today. He was practicing. He was doing his fun handshakes with Josh Allen during practice. So I'm sure Bills fans are hoping that this situation has concluded, if you will, and they can move forward.
Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Jordan, I know you're at CBS Sports, so, when you get ready to negotiate your next contract, you just say, hey, I'm JD, and they just bring you stacks of cash. But it's better than being a running back right now because it doesn't seem like anybody's doing those guys right.
He knocked that stack down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness, man. I know you guys had Joe Corry on earlier, and I'm sure you guys talked about that. I think he just published a long column talking about the value of the running back position and how it's changed. And, man, we know that the running back position has changed and how it's viewed, but this offseason has been completely different, right? We see Ezekiel Elliott released. We see Dalvin Cook released after another monster campaign that he put together for himself. He's not an old guy either. Austin Eckler had to basically be laughed at when he requested a trade from the Chargers. You could go on and on with all the things that happened with the running back position. The richest contract that was signed this offseason by a running back was Miles Sanders, I think, with the Panthers, and that made him maybe the top 10 highest paid running back. So Najee Harris had some interesting comments about this. He talked about how it's eye-opening to see how these NFL teams are treating their running backs because these players aren't doing anything wrong, right? They're playing good football. It's just that their contracts are too rich for the teams to justify, and that they can find another running back that can be serviceable in their offense without making him one of the highest paid players on their roster. So this is a situation I'm kind of interested in terms of what's the future going to look like at this position, because running backs are an important position when it comes down to it. They're versatile playmakers. They block in the passing game. They're part of the passing game and catching the ball. So, yeah, this is definitely going to be a situation and just a topic that we're going to continue to discuss as the offseason goes on.
All that being said about running backs, what happens next with Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, that's a great question because the initial reports say that he's looking for a contract or at least a base salary for 2023 that's very similar to the one that he was going to play on with the Vikings. I think that was $10.4 million. And when we're talking about potential landing spots, the Buffalo Bills, for example, were one of my potential landing spots, but they only have $5 million in available cash right now. That's something that probably hindered their wishes in getting DeAndre Hopkins. I'm looking at the Dolphins. I think they have around $14 million available right now. He's looking for some kind of significant money when it comes to relatively with the running back position. So maybe that could lend or open the door for a surprise team to emerge and get Dalvin Cook because he's the only player in the NFL who's rushed for like 1,100 yards over the past 4 years. This is still a star running back. So it's going to be very intriguing to see which one of these teams approaches him and gets him the money that he desires.
Well, we always desire time with our buddy Jordan Dajani. We're getting it right now. 104.5 The Zone on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, who gets all the time are the quarterbacks, whoever the quarterback is, for the Indianapolis Colts. They're always just doing so great.
Mm-hmm.
So what the heck is the real deal? Is Anthony Richardson looking like just he's going to be like a world beater and just be so great? NFL Rookie of the Year and everything?
I'll tell you, all the reports coming out of Colts camp, they love this Anthony Richardson kid. And we know he's an all-world athlete in terms of what he can do with his ability when it comes to tucking and running and all things like that. But, I don't care the amount of, nice reports coming out of camp. There's going to be a learning curve with this kid in terms of him being a passer, right? He wasn't very consistent at Florida. He has all that he needs and all that he desires to be a very good passer in the NFL. It's just going to take some time. So I've been maintaining that he's going to start week 1, but there is going to be a learning curve. But the one reason that you can be cautiously optimistic about him is that he's under the care of Shane Steichen, who I think is one of the best quarterback developers in the NFL. So this was a very good landing spot for Anthony Richardson in terms of teams where he had to play immediately. Again, I think he's going to start week 1, but there is going to be a learning curve.
Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill. Who you picking? Both of them's contract is up.
Oh, man, jeez. You know, I mean, I think it also matters on the team and on the coaching staff as well, because Kirk Cousins had an okay year under Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell is definitely a guy I really appreciate in the NFL. He's someone who's appreciated for his offensive mind. And they went like 13-4 last year. They won the division. No one was expecting that. And Kirk Cousins was at least solid. Now, of course, he got to rely on the playmakers that Ryan Tannehill does not have, like Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hockenson, guys like that. I mean, if I had to pick one, I really do appreciate Ryan Tannehill's dual threat ability. He's underrated in that sense, and Kirk Cousins has a hard time getting out of bed. But he is a pretty good quarterback, so I'm leaning towards Kirk Cousins.
No, man.
JD, always great stuff, man. Love catching up with you. It was fantastic seeing you outside today in the sunlight out at the Titans final OTA, and look forward to talking to you again next week, buddy.
Absolutely. You guys are the best. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Our man, Jordan Dajani, also a Tennessee guy. Joel Corry with CBS, Jordan Dajani with CBS.
We local.
In Tennessee, we keep it local here, man. We're like your favorite farmer's market.
Man, we have to tell them, national media guys what's going on.
100%. We got to do that. All right. We had this poll yesterday. We didn't get to read you the results. If DeAndre Hopkins doesn't sign with the Titans because he's in New England right now. Joel Corry was on with this yesterday or today earlier and broke this down. How will you feel? Will you be sad, mad, or glad if he doesn't sign? You got time to hit us up on the phone with an answer in the F&M Bank chat. Or again, 615-737-1045. Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline is open. Sad, mad, or glad if they don't get D-Hop? Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Ask this question. Would you be sad, mad, or glad if DeAndre Hopkins doesn't sign with the Titans? How would you feel? We'll get to those. But Rob in Nashville wanted to equate his feelings to us over the phone. So, Rob, welcome in. I always appreciate people calling in and appreciate you calling in.
Hey, thank you guys for taking my call.
Yes, sir. Thank you for making your call.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, so I would be glad if he don't come to the Titans because I'm a Patriots fan.
Oh, dude, you gave us the okie doke, Rob.
Oh, man. Even the last since Brady left?
You know, the Titans not a bad team, though. You know, they're not a bad team. But, I'm sad because Tom Brady left. So I had to go back and forth when he left. So I've been called a featherweight fan on my job everywhere, okay?
Yeah.
So now I got a chance or an opportunity to get back on the boat of the Patriots if, DeAndre Hopkins gets back. Because, let's face it, if he go there, with Juju Smith there and Matt Jones, hey, we got a chance. I'm back in there again.
Okay.
I'm a Patriots fan. I ain't no fan on wheels no more. So,
you got to tell us this. When did you become a Patriots fan? It's got to at least be during the Steve Grogan era, or this doesn't even count. If you became a Patriots fan during the Brady era, we're going to have to call you out.
Well, I ain't going to say because the people on the radio already hit my board, so they already been ratting me about that one. So you got a point on that one. So I'm going to leave that one alone.
Come on, man. All right.
No,
we'll see you, Rob. He's on. Sorry, Rob. Yeah, bye. Sorry. He was still talking. Sorry, Rob. Come on, man. He didn't sound like he was like 25. I don't know how old he is, but come on, man. You can't get on the Brady bandwagon.
Oh, man.
You've been around the block a couple times. Come on, man.
I tried to tell y'all Brady was special, man. It was more him than Bill. I tried to tell y'all.
Boy.
I told you. I called that one up. Tell you. The dude, man, Brady, he's a special cat, man. It definitely was, man.
All right. Would people be sad, mad, or glad if D-Hop doesn't sign with the Titans in the F&M Bank chat? Nick says, I'd be disappointed, so I'd have to go with mad. As long as Kelly is a competent OC, unlike Downing, the Titans could compete for AFC Championship with D-Hop. That's what Nick said. Here's what you guys said. In third place, mad, 12%. In second place, glad, 22%. So 22% of people still aren't on board with D-Hop. Could be age, could be don't want to get hurt again by another older receiver.
They're going by history.
Yeah. And as Mike Mularkey once told me, the only time he was ever upset with me, I asked him, hey, man, this franchise has trouble beating the Chargers because it's been, and he goes, you can stop right there. That's a different team than all those other teams. It's a different team. It's a different team Mike Mularkey lost it on me.
And then he apologized.
Then he patted me on the back. His head was the size of my whole upper torso. It was like a head like you would see on an island somewhere when you rode ashore that kept spirits away or something.
So he should have a bobblehead.
He is a bobblehead. I love Mularkey, but his head was the size of my whole upper torso. If he headbutted somebody, it would crush them.
I did not know we were going to be talking about Mike Mularkey's head.
His skull is gigantic. He was an NFL player.
Oh, no, he had a big forehead, too. Though,
but he apologized to me.
You, boom.
But here's the thing that we learned from Uncle Mike. He's right. Those were different teams. Every situation is different. As much as fans hold on to things, or even some dumb radio reporter when I asked him the question. Because at that time, it was a bad streak against the Chargers. And it had gone on for 15 years. They were 1-7 against it because they don't play every year.
He knew
that was coming.
Yeah.
And this was on a Friday where he was all casual, just walking, where he'd answer a couple questions before he went in on a Friday. Man, he was waiting. He did pat me on the back with his giant hand later. He patted my tiny body with his giant hand. But anyway, I learned a lesson that day. It's different times. Every team's different. Right. There's big turnover, 30-something% every year.
Still a question, though, in history, you guys haven't had a lot of success.
Don't match up well.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you think that'll continue? You got to answer, yeah.
Like the Titans, for some reason, match up great with the Chiefs every year. They beat the Chiefs. They could have beat them last year if one of two guys could have caught a ball from Malik Willis.
Well, yeah.
They would have won that game.
Yeah, you're right. They would have had a shot at winning, yeah, no question.
It ain't help him out.
They did not.
Whatever.
You gotta,
10
like
passes
you kept
he
saying,
threw.
hey, man, he's a young guy. Help him out. Pick up your level of play. And when he needed
And
it.
that was a dude who used to play for the Chiefs, too. Conley.
Yeah.
Conley, that dude.
Drop a Lee.
Yep. He looked like he had my hands.
Yeah, he dropped.
Yeah. That's exactly how he used to look.
66% say by far the leader. They'd be sad. Although several people responded and said you should have given a meh option, like I don't care.
Oh.
Well, you responded to the Twitter, hey, so you care.
Yeah.
My thing with people's like, I don't care. They respond to you on Twitter. Nobody cares. Well, you did, you jackal. You took the time to respond on Twitter. You care, dingle.
Oh, man.
Mr. Ding L. Barry,
Wow.
66% say they'd be sad.
Hey.
You want 2/3 of Titans fans sad?
I'm signing Hopkins for $7 million up to $10 million in incentives. People gonna laugh at me. That's what it is, bro. Do you think they didn't offer him, or did they send him an insulting offer?
Joe Corry, what did he tell us? They offered something, and he
They
got
don't
on.
have to. He just said they offered something. He don't know. They might not offer him nothing. Watch this. I've been on some visits, and people didn't offer me nothing. I said, look like trouble.
Well, I'll offer you the
They
chance to
offer me.
leave because
Well,
that's
see.
what we've got to do. Because
I was thinking about
3HL's up
myself.
next. We're at Hattie B's tomorrow with Buck and
Oh,
Melrose.
yes. Oh, I can't wait to get some hot chicken, man.
Me too.
Yeah. But in the meantime,
In between time.